Hi everyone, this is your coach Mary, and I am excited to do this topic today because it really came out of an experience I just had. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes you're just moving along and you think to yourself, this just happened, I had this thought or I had this experience, and I think to myself, man, I have got to do a radio show on this because I know that if I'm feeling it and that's my experience, or the person I just talked to that was their experience, I know without a doubt that there are other people who have shared this same experience, and I think so. We need to do some tapping on this. We need to get beyond this. And this is what happened. This is the setup around this, okay, is that I was talking to a friend of mine. This is a good friend of mine, and she was telling me about something she wanted. She was allowing herself to step forward into thinking about a new career that she wanted. I got excited for her, and so I did what a lot of friends do, is I started telling her how she could make that happen. And I started telling her, oh my gosh, now just start to visualize the outcome you desire, along with all the emotions you feel that when it happens. And all of a sudden I heard this little lull in the conversation, and she says to me, you know, I'm afraid to imagine it. I'm afraid to get excited about a certain outcome. Because if I don't get it, I don't want to feel the disappointment if it doesn't work out. Mary, I can't do that. I'm just so afraid that I'm going to set myself up for disappointment. And you know, when I heard those words, I thought to myself, man, I have heard this hundreds and hundreds of times from clients. And I have to say, I have probably said it myself hundreds of times. It's one of those little hiccups that we have somewhere in the back of our mind, the way our mind does it. It goes out and projects into the future the possibilities. And one of the possibilities when it thinks about having a dream or a desire is it thinks to itself, uh-oh, I've wanted things before and I've been disappointed. Danger, danger, don't go there. And the mind will either start to find ways to shift this, to find some kind of solution. And it's going to be very, very creative. Our mind is very, very creative. And one of the ways that it may decide that it can protect itself is a couple of things, right? Is that one, it can start procrastinating and it can not take action around any of these goals or any of our visions. It can start to self-sabotage, and next thing you know, instead of getting things done, we're watching our toenails grow, or not taking any action. I know sometimes that feels a lot like procrastination, but we can actually do things like, I'm going to start going out and getting into shape, and then the next day we find ourselves eating a box of bonbons, and people will say to me, why do I sabotage myself this way? Or the mind can just simply come up with this, and mind you, this is a solution. It can decide, let's not have any dreams. Let's not have any desires. Let's not have any strong passions, because then I'm keeping myself safe. I won't look forward to it. And if I don't have anything to look forward to, then I certainly can't be disappointed. But you and I both know that's not really true, because we can only live there for a little bit of a time. And so we get into this kind of crazy eight thing that happens where we're either saying to ourselves, I really, really, really want this, and then we're backing off and we're saying, nope, I have to remember all those other times that I wanted something and I didn't get it, and how crushed I was. And so the better solution here is to not want anything. Let's just not have any passion. Let's not look forward to anything. Let's not hope for anything. Throw out the vision board. Throw out any of those ideas. We may be in the middle of a program and that thought comes up, and guess what? We say to ourselves, okay, stop that. That looks like self-sabotage, right? I'm going to stop whatever I'm going to do. I'm not going to tap anymore. I'm not going to do any of the things I was doing, because all of a sudden my mind started remembering another time that I really wanted something and it didn't happen. It didn't work out. So what were those times? Think about that. I mean, the first one that comes to my mind is not even my own. It was one of my children's time. My daughter was in college. She was trying to get into a certain program. She wanted so badly to be in the journalism program, and you had to submit applications for it. And she would put that application in, and then when we got to the cutoff date and I knew she was going to hear something, I would find myself getting really anxious, because I would think, what if she doesn't get in? And sure enough, on 3 different occasions, She was calling me up in tears. She was telling me, Mom, I didn't get in again. And she would be in so much pain. So, of course, I was in so much pain because I'm a really good mom. I'm going to feel my kids' pain right along with it because I don't know how to help them and I couldn't find answers for them. So it was so painful to me. I know it was painful for her. And one of the questions I remember her asking me is, how can you really want something, have such a clear, defined picture of it, and it not happen? And you know what? I didn't have anything to tell her. I didn't have anything to tell her that was going to make her feel better. I mean, I knew on some level that the best thing is always happening for her. I knew that there would be something that would work out better. But come on, if somebody was telling me at the time, I just want to slap them. I would say to you, get out of my face. This isn't making me feel any better. So I knew those words weren't going to be helpful for her, even though that's where my belief came from. I also knew it was triggering my own sense of loss, of things I had wanted and never gotten. And face it, if you're in this world and you are any kid, I mean, any kid you know wants a list, a catalog of different toys or things that they want, or they want to go to Disneyland. And how many times as a kid did we get disappointed? Hundreds upon hundreds. All right, these are not experiences we're going to remember all of them because it's just the way it is. It's part of life. And even though we know that, as an adult saying, well, we don't get everything we wanted. I wanted an elephant too. Of course I didn't get that. Some we can look back and think, well, that was kind of silly at the time. Of course, how would I possibly have had that? At that time, at that moment in childhood, that's when we're setting up our rules about the world. That's when we're saying to ourselves, is it really safe to want things? Is it really okay for me to dream? Because sometimes when I've done that, I've gotten so disappointed, and disappointment hurts. It hurts our heart. And so we are starting at a very early age to try and make sense out of those kinds of disappointments. And then one of those things might very well come as that here's my solution, is to stop hoping, stop wanting. So these are some of the kind of things we might have heard from some of those well-meaning people in our lives who, like me, didn't want us to feel that pain, and they were thought that they were helping us. And so they may have said things like, well, don't get your hopes up in case it doesn't work out, right? Ever heard that? You go to somebody and you might have said something, I'm going to, try out for cheerleading. I'm going to try out for the football team. And somebody said to you, well, don't get your hopes up in case it doesn't work out. Or, maybe it was even harder than that. Maybe somebody said to you, who are you to dream that big? That's ridiculous. Come on, you trip over your own feet. You aren't big enough. Whatever it was, all of a sudden they were kind of smashing your dreams. Or maybe even heard, better to be safe than sorry. Be cautious, always err on the side of being safe rather than sorry. Now, think about the things you might have heard growing up when it came to having dreams. Maybe yours were more like, well, yeah, it takes a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. Or maybe you heard it takes a lot of hard work. I don't know if you have it in you. Whatever it was, you might have gotten the message that maybe it wasn't worth it for you to go for your dreams, or that you were personally missing something if you didn't get them, right? Now, before I go into is any of that true, I want you to really think about this idea of being disappointed, of wanting something and getting disappointed, not wanting to set yourself up. Because trust me, this can affect us in a lot of different areas in life. Think about even things like dating. If you haven't been going out and dating, why is that? Do we get excited about the potential of a date, hope for the fact that this might be the person in our lives, and then come back from a date and feeling, ugh, God, another nerd or another strikeout, and then we think to ourselves, then when it comes to dating again, we think to ourselves, really, do I want to go through all this work just to go out to date? Our mind goes out ahead of us. It sees that date again that was miserable, and it says, what if you have this experience again? And next thing you know, you haven't dated for 4 months, all right? This can happen with work. Maybe you finally get yourself to get your resume out there. You go on a couple of interviews, and you've really got you think to yourself, oh, my God, this would be such a great job. I really want it. to find out that you didn't get it. It can even happen for some things like that we look forward to, like a vacation. I know this may sound crazy because most of us think that, my gosh, if I'm taking a vacation, surely I'm going to love that. Surely it would be so much fun. And then what happens? We go and we come back and we're disappointed. Maybe it didn't go quite like we wanted it to. The rides we wanted to go on weren't open that day, or you got a cold and you didn't feel as well as you did, or the weather wasn't what you had hoped it would be. Sometimes it's the little things that can really throw us off, and then we come back saying, oh, that was disappointing. What we want to do is look at how we set ourselves up for that. First of all, what are we hoping that will happen? So when we get really clear with ourselves and we say, what is my hope and expectation? Right now, set aside any of the thoughts about, is it reasonable? Is it realistic? You know, those words that we always use as an adult. Is it reasonable and realistic? And ask ourselves, what do I hope will happen? I say this for a lot of people because one of the things that I do, especially when I'm taking on new coaching clients, is I like to get from people a realistic idea of what they are hoping will happen from our coaching experience together. And because I don't want them to be disappointed, but I know a lot of that has to do with what were they hoping would happen. So we look at it from, first, let's see what we hope will happen. And here's where you want to put down, I go out on this date, and he turns out to be the man of my dreams, and he's 6'2", and he's broad-shouldered, and he's rich, and he loves taking care of people, and he's an adventurer, and he has exciting things. I mean, everything. And he treats me like a princess. And I'm sure, guys, you can do this the other direction. But the point is that put it out there. Let yourself see all your expectations. Because there's nothing wrong, per se, with your expectations. And I'm not after you to try and change those, but it's our sense that we have that if it doesn't work out like this, we're going to be so disappointed. We're going to be crushed. And then we do that backwards thing where we back up so far that next thing you know, you aren't dating for 4 months. If you can at least look at what your expectations are, then we can change that a little bit. All right, we can start to look at that from a perspective of maybe this would be nice. It's nice for me to have a clarity about what I want, and yet I'm going to be open to maybe looking for a sense of humor, being able to share some funny stories between us, and I'm going to let that be a beginning instead of an all or nothing. So let's come back, because we want to do a little bit of tapping about this whole idea of being disappointed. It's real nice for me to be able to say, here's what we're going to do. We're going to write down our expectations and look at them. But the truth is, until we have some of the sting off, that those old experiences with being disappointed, we're still going to be hesitant. There's a part of our mind that's going to say, I don't know, I'm still remembering how it felt that time I was deeply disappointed, or I don't think it's a good idea to really put myself out there or to have a dream because what if it doesn't happen? So let's start there and do some tapping. And this is what I love about tapping, is that it allows us to take the next step. Maybe it's more of a corrective step like I just talked about, but we start with tapping on our present moment thoughts and experiences, how we are feeling about things. And that is our beginning point. So think of something that you really, really wanted, and that when you didn't get it, it was quite a disappointment, or it wasn't quite what you had hoped it would be, right? We sent away for some shoes or a dress or, some kind of thing through the mail, and when we got it, it wasn't what we expected, and we feel that. We feel that sense of disappointment. Now think back and think about what you said to yourself. Oh, see, this always happens. It looks better in the magazine than it did in person, or what are the things you find ourselves saying? Because these are those see statements. See, I was wrong to set myself up to be looking forward to something. I'm always going to be disappointed. So take a second, find your thing, whatever pops up first in your mind. Okay, I might have triggered something, or all of a sudden you might have remembered these pairs of shoes that you wanted as a kid that you never got. That's okay. Allow your subconscious to bring for you whatever it is that I am triggering, whatever thought you are having about something that you were disappointed in. And if it was you were younger, think about yourself then, how you might have felt, what that experience would have been. If you were 3 and you wanted those bright, shiny red shoes and you didn't get them, how would a 3-year-old feel? What kind of disappointment would they be feeling? What might they be saying about the world when they got disappointed? You know, that the world's not safe, the world's disappointing. Maybe they'd say, you know, I'll never make it if I don't have those red shoes. How come I couldn't make it happen? What's wrong with me? Oh, gosh, don't get me started on that path. So think of your experience, whatever that is. Think of it as, I don't want to be disappointed again. And we're going to do some tapping. And so as you know, we're going to start on the karate chop spot, right below the baby finger on the side of the hand, and repeat after me. Even though I'm afraid of being disappointed. Again, it's happened before, and I know the time I'm thinking about. I don't want to go there again. I'm still going to honor myself, even with all these feelings. Even though I'm afraid of being disappointed again. I'm afraid to hope. I'm afraid to visualize. What if it doesn't happen? It didn't happen last time. And I remember being crushed. And even though I don't want to be disappointed again, I do want to be able to dream. I do want to be a creator. So maybe I can find a way to be open to doing this differently. Even though it's not safe to want, it's not safe to dream, it's not safe to have desires, because I could get disappointed. And I hate that feeling. It is so discouraging. I promised myself that I would do whatever it took to not have that experience again. But perhaps there is a way to do this differently. That I can find a way to go forward with goals, with dreams, with passions, and enjoy the journey. Up at the eyebrow, I'm really afraid of being disappointed again. Side of the eye, it's not safe to dream. Under the eye, I've dreamed before. Under the nose, I've wanted before. On the chin, and I remember how it felt. Collarbone, when I didn't get it. Under the arm, when it didn't happen. Top of the head, I was crushed. Back at the eyebrow, it was painful. Side of the eye, and I made a vow under the eye that I wouldn't let that happen again. Under the nose, so I stopped wishing. On the chin, I stopped setting goals. Collarbone, because I wasn't going to be disappointed again. Under the arm. But the truth is, top of the head, I want to be a creator. Back at the eyebrow, I want exciting things to happen in my life. Side of the eye, I feel like I'm missing out. Under the eye, if I stop dreaming. Under the nose, I stop growing. On the chin, I stop doing new things. Collarbone, so maybe I can find a way under the arm, to begin to dream again. Top of the head, but to do it differently this time. Back at the eyebrow, it is safe to hope. Side of the eye, it can be safe to have a vision. Underneath the eye, now I know it's not about magical thinking. Under the nose, there's so many more resources out there. On the chin, and I know so much more. Collarbone, I know about getting things I desire. Under the arm, getting in that place of visualizing. Top of the head, and feeling good. Back at the eyebrow, and instead of disappointment, side of the eye, maybe I can replace it with, under the eye, knowledge. Under the nose, clarity. Chin, persistence. Collarbone, flexibility. Under the arm, exploration. Top of the head, curiosity. Back at the eyebrow, what if when I dreamed? Side of the eye, and created. Under the eye, I did it from a different place. Under the nose, and it felt good. On the chin, the only way I could feel disappointment. On the collarbone, was if I gave up on life. Under the arm, and that's not like me at all. Top of the head, so I'm willing to give this another try from a different perspective, one that allows me to embrace life and embrace my desires and take a breath. Now, it's exciting when we can look at it from a different perspective. Instead of thinking about disappointment, we're starting to think about flexibility. What are all the different ways I can get that feeling? So what we say is, while I may be hoping for something in particular, and I'm going to go back and use that example of going out on a date with this person, is it's information for me of saying, what is it that I really want? What is it I want to feel? To feel love, to feel alive, to feel engaged, to feel connected, to feel that I care about somebody, that we share things in common. When we stand back and we say, what is it I want to feel? Then that person sitting across from us on that date doesn't become the disappointment, because we may start to look at them and say, there are aspects of that in that person, or I'm having aspects of that feeling in this. And there it is. I'm really starting to manifest some of that. I bet that the clearer I get on this and the more dates that I go on, I'm going to keep manifesting more and more of this until what I'm manifesting and how it feels matches up in my life. And that may come through a person, that may come through experiences, but it's me getting clarity as the creator of my life that I'm experiencing more of that. So the only way I can now feel disappointment would be to give that power away, think that this thing, person, or place, or event is going to feel that, is going to fill that hole, instead of it being something that I have so many opportunities to feel through so many of the things I do. I can find it in music, I can find it in dancing, I can find it in hobbies, I can find it with my friends. When that happens, we stop living from a place of being afraid that life is going to disappoint us, because we realize that we're the ones who are in control of getting those feelings. And then we find that there are so many ways for us to get them. All right, now I'm getting a little excited because once this happens, I start thinking of, oh my gosh, just think of all those different ways in life that we can get excited and get these feelings instead of putting all of our hopes and dreams outside of ourselves. It is a true sign of maturity, people, and it's so exciting. So yes, I'm your coach, and I get a little out of hand sometimes, but just think about it. Just think when we have that kind of control back in our life, how exciting it can be. So listen, I love hearing from you. This is what I love to do. I love to work with people who have dreams, who are successful, who want to take things and expand their lives. They know that there's more to life, and they know something's getting in their way, but it doesn't have to be there. We can move forward, all right? There are easy ways to do this. I love tapping. It's so powerful. It is one of the quickest ways. It really accelerates our movement. And so reach out to me. Let me know, how did this affect you? What did you allow yourself to do once you got past the fear of being disappointed? All right? Email me at mary@tapintooaction.com. All of my past radio shows can be found there on my blog. It's tapintooaction.com, and that's all one word. I'm your coach, Mary. I love it that you listen to these. I love that you are so brave that you're willing to try it, and I know you are. So let me know what happened for you. What did you try that you weren't trying before? I'm there for you. And until next time, have the best day ever. Stay brilliant.